It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Chad Erickson. Great to have you with us on this Monday edition of the show. We got a lot to talk about. Bill Bender will be by in about 20 minutes. Talk with him about the Super Bowl week, just taking a back seat here, which we'll get to in just a moment. Also, Chip Kelly leaving Ohio State for the Raiders offensive coordinator job. What's that about? We'll talk about that. Eric Pincus will join us coming up in 10 minutes. Does a great job with Bleacher Report. Talk with him about this trade that Vlad and I are about to. Oh, I called you Sam. Wow.
Oh, man.
I know, because I'm not used to having you on a Monday. So for people looking at the screen and saying, that's not Sam Yarnell, it definitely isn't.
Not Sam.
It's definitely not Sam. That is Vladimir Lewisan, who will be hanging out with us all week. Sam is on assignment for Sports Grid this week down at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. So we get Vlad for the entire week from WQAM in Miami. All right, I flat out, what was your reaction when it happened? And what is your reaction, 36 hours later, 38 hours later, after we see Luka Dončić traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis?
Shocked at first, obviously, because we've never seen anything like this in NBA, at least in my 47 years of existence, where a superstar gets traded for a superstar. And it's not like say what you want about Anthony Davis. He's still he was and is a franchise player at 31 years old. But to see Luka, a top 3 player in the league when healthy and playing, to get traded at 25 years old, and not get traded like to any team. He got traded to the marquee team in the league. So financially was the first thing I thought about. I'm like, the league has to be happy, because we saw Adam Silver talk about he wants to expand teams internationally. Well, what great way of expanding the game internationally if you have one of the best players in the world playing for the marquee team in the league. So now you have Wemby in San Antonio, now you have Luka in Los Angeles. Basketball-wise, short term, I think this is great for the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks was the team that went to the NBA Finals, and just like in the NFL, we see how running back matters. Big men matters in the NBA, especially when you're going for NBA title. So I think in the short term, it worked with Anthony Davis and Kyrie, with Lively and Gafford in the front court.
I have a column that should be out. If it's not out already, by the time you watch the show, it should be out sometime today for MSNBC on this trade. And my exact take on it, my editor is, bless her heart, my editor. She gets in touch with me, and we go back and forth and she always wants to know, what's the headline? Like, give me, she wants me to take this complicated trade of Luka Dončić and, bless your heart, Meredith, I love
Anthony Davis.
Of Luka Dončić and Anthony Davis. And she wants me to try and boil it down to one point. And I'm like, this is not a story where you can do that. No. It's just too complicated. There's so many layers to this thing. And to me, you mentioned part of my overall theme that I was able to eventually boil it down to after 17 emails back and forth with her, which was, in the short, I think you could actually wind up with a situation here where both sides win, where the Mavericks win in the short term and the Lakers win in the long term. That's what it feels like to me. I want to expand upon that point, and we will in just a moment after a word from our friends at Edge Boost. I'm all about trying to find ways to take sports betting to the next level. Folks, it's Super Bowl week. Who isn't betting anything on the game? Somebody is. That's exactly why I am pumped to tell you about our friends at Edge Boost, the financial platform paying you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. Free money back in your pocket just for what you're doing already. It is a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it'll never be declined for gambling activity. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. What are you waiting for? Stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today. edgeboost.bet. Use my promo code WRAP, W-R-A-P, right now and get your account upgraded. That's right. WRAP is the promo code. Use that or just scan the QR code below. Here's the thing to me, Vlad, when I look at all of this, because I think there's two factors in play here. One is the fact that I think both the sides could win in this. The other thing to me is there's no question this had to do with the conditioning problems of Luka Dončić. When you hear, that he got up to 270 pounds. And I think you're going to see a systematic leaking of information here over the next several days by people in that Mavericks organization to get the point across, because you got a pissed off fan base down there right now saying, why did you trade away this, once in a generation offensive genius for a 31-year-old Anthony Davis? I think there's going to be an attempt by this Mavericks organization to try and stem the blood flow that's sort of hemorrhaging here, because you've got a fan base that's really not happy. They're going to do everything they can to trash this kid on his way out the door.
I mean, you have to, because you don't have to be an NBA fan. You could be a common fringe fan. If you find out that one of the top 3 players in the world gets traded, and then not only they get traded, but you also trade them to your conference rival, it's going to cause a lot of chaos, questions that need to be answered. And you have to, right now, Nico Harrison has made himself either he's going to be one of the, brightest, forward-thinking GMs in the league, or he's probably cost himself another job if this doesn't end up working out well. And
let's not pretend this is Jerry Krause breaking up the Bulls of the late 90s and not appeasing Michael Jordan. Can we stop pretending this is that? This is a team that got dusted in the NBA Finals last year, Jason, and wasn't going to win a title this year either.
We don't know. It's the same team, but it's a team that really plays well against Oklahoma City, which is the team that's on top of the Western Conference. I think what happened was it was the stealth of this trade. It was so quiet. Nobody had ever heard rumors. So this is what's bothersome to us, because there was no rumors.
Nope.
We were kept in the dark.
Yeah, it was totally stealthy. There was a very stealthy way with which this whole thing came about. Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report. We'll get some thoughts with him coming up in a couple of minutes. SportsWrap continues. Thanks for being with us on SportsWrap on a Monday. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to this Luka Dončić, Anthony Davis, Mavericks, Lakers deal, and one of the first people I thought of was this guy, Eric Pincus. Bleacher Report, sports business classroom as well. I wanted to get his thoughts because there's a lot of layers to this story. As I was explaining at the top of the show, I have an editor because I write columns for MSNBC, and I have my editor over there was like, "Can you nail this down to like one headline?" And I'm like, "No," because it's a complex story. You can't just take one point and try and build around that. To me, there are a lot of points to this, and and we didn't even talk about it in the first segment, is Luka Dončić, in some ways, kind of gets screwed here. He wanted to stay in Dallas. He wanted the Supermax, which would have paid him, $345 million for 5 years. I ask you, how much of this deal had to do with the financial trappings?
Well, it's early in the process to get information. We have the picture that has been painted by the Dallas Mavericks, and they are painting it. I mean, this thing needs to be put up in a museum in terms of level of detail and information. And I'm not going to accuse anyone of lying. And my point is that I would say that truth is relative. I guess that's from a point of view. And maybe they're giving us their truth, and I don't want to say that they're lying. So I'm not calling out anyone with Dallas, and I'm not saying that anything that they said is false. But I wonder, there are holes in this that I see in the story that are confusing to me. You traded a young superstar for a more expensive, older superstar who's getting supermax level money in Anthony Davis. You didn't get the 2031 first from the Lakers. You didn't get everything you could out of the Lakers. If you said Lakers are the only one, AD is the only one, why didn't you get more? Why didn't you get Dalton Connect, et cetera, et cetera? And so from the Luka point of view, maybe he didn't want to extend. Maybe he didn't prioritize money. Maybe it's not as simple as Luka wanted to stay there. He idolized Kobe Bryant. There's a relationship there. There are a lot of relationships that I can tie to with the Lakers that make sense. And his earning opportunity, yeah, you pay more tax in California, but his earning opportunity may skyrocket in LA. So I don't know. Yes, he'll lose specific potential money in his supermax contract, but I mean, I think in LA he can become a much bigger global star, or even American star. I don't think global is the problem. I think in America he'll become a bigger star.
Do we sometimes, everybody on the outside, and look, unless you're Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd and the players on that team and Luka Dončić, there's only a handful of people that actually know what was going on behind the scenes there. Do we sometimes run the risk, and look, I'm guilty of it too, of trying to deduce too much from a situation that we're just not as intimately involved with? Is this as simple as, hey, he wasn't conditioned well. He didn't care about getting his conditioning well after all this time. They felt like they couldn't win a championship with him as the centerpiece, so they make a deal. They just got to the
finals.
Yes, but they got dusted in the finals.
Yeah, but they got dusted in the finals. That happens, okay? But like the Lakers got dusted in the finals and came back the next year and beat Boston, right? Like, well, they beat Orlando next, but they got dusted by it happens. Like, you are on the verge of a championship and you could say, oh, well, we got dusted. But like, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Touching on what you're saying, if I'm good, which is absolutely relative, I'm good at piecing together things that you're not given enough information and piecing the data points together to a different path than what you're being told. And teams, their job, for whatever reason, in the NBA and in corporate culture and other sports, just across the board, is to try to control the narrative. What if Luka told them that he didn't want to extend? What if he didn't want to be there? If that's true, then we have a very different story, and a lot of the pieces fit very differently. Now it's because he's in that, what I'd like to call the Kawhi window. Kawhi Leonard left San Antonio because he told them, I'm not staying, and they had to trade him. Otherwise they would lose him. And you're doing this not in the last year of your contract. You're doing it this time, the trade deadline before your extension, right? And timing is a little different, but with Kawhi, but you get the point. And De'Aaron Fox just did the same thing, right? He went to San Antonio, and the Kings didn't get the kind of return that you would want for a guy who's been recently, in the last few years anyway, an All-NBA top 15 player. So I do think there's an argument that fits the puzzle better to me, that Luka, who has a very different kind of approach, didn't follow the De'Aaron Fox approach, which was more scorched earth.
I want to ask you one more question, and I'll do that in just a moment after a word from our friends over at Credit Associates. Are you $10,000 or more in credit card debt, in over your head trying to make monthly payments? Well, there's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, and high interest rates that keep you in debt for decades, and you can do it with just one affordable low monthly payment. Credit Associates Debt Relief Program can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months. February is Halfuary, saving you thousands of dollars and decades in debt. Find out how much you could save right now. Call 1-800-747-5362, 1-800-747-5362, or just scan the QR code below. Here's the question I have. Is this the last shoe to drop for the Lakers? You have no rim protection now with Anthony Davis being gone. Is there another shoe to drop? Is there another deal to be made for them in the last minute and a half here? Talk to me.
Well, I'm do hypotheticals for Bleacher, and I did write one that should be live today, which is like, hey, you still have a few days. Send LeBron to Golden State.
What?
Get a bunch of players. I'm serious. Like, I think they should. Now, will they? LeBron controls everything here because he has no trade clause. So, but trade Bronny first. Like, call up Golden State. We're trading Bronny. Hey, LeBron, we just traded Bronny to Golden State. Go with him. I'm telling you, it's foolproof. But the idea, look, I love LeBron for what he's accomplished, but the Lakers have turned the page, and yes, there's a potential move to try to better this team, but the reality is this is a transition year for the Lakers. They are entering the Luka era, just like they were in the LeBron era, before that, the Kobe era. This is the Luka era, and you need to reestablish who you are and build properly, not in a rush. With LeBron, you're in a rush near the end of his career. Luka, he's in his low mid 20s. Go ahead, take your time and build the right team around him. So if there's a move, it might be a stopgap, but it's going to have an eye, at least in my opinion, on what Luka's era actually is, which isn't going to be established in the next 4 days.
Eric Pincus does a great job over at Bleacher Report. You could also check him out with the Sports Business Classroom. I appreciate you getting up early on the West Coast for me, and we'll do it again soon, my friend. Thank you.
All right, anytime. Thanks for having me.
We're coming back with more Sports Wrap on this Monday. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to this Monday edition of Sports Wrap. It only took us, till segment 3 to talk about the Super Bowl? There's a Super Bowl going on this week. My goodness. We talked NBA for the first couple of segments for good reason. Now let's get our attention back to where it belongs. Super Bowl week. Yeah, Bill Bender is here because when I think about returning things to normal, we bring in Bill Bender. That's what we do.
How's it going? Thanks for having me on. Yeah, the Super Bowl, there couldn't be anything more normal than a three-peat. Before you know it, Jason, we'll be back to questioning the officiating by Sunday. I'm sure that's coming.
Nobody can. It's just amazing. Like, what allowed for the NBA to do this over the last couple of days, obviously, the trades had to happen and all that stuff. But the lead up to this Super Bowl so far has been so bland and boring, Bill. I mean, I practically forgot there's a Super Bowl coming up in a week.
Yeah, the Sunday came and went. And obviously the Luka trade dominated yesterday, and rightfully so. But, there's I think it's equal parts Chiefs fatigue. We saw this matchup 2 years ago. I think Taylor Swift was at the Grammys. I did not watch a second of the Grammys last night. I'm sorry. I was wiped out from the weekend. But all of that. So it is funny that you say that. I wonder what the ratings will look like. But by the time we get to Sunday, just remember, you got a team going for the first three-peat in Super Bowl history, not NFL history. The Packers did that in the 60s. But I think that will add to it once the game starts. And, the matchup itself should be very good.
But that's just it. When we talk about how bland and boring the lead up to it is, I think this should be a fantastic game. Like, this could be a real banger, and we're just kind of left to sit here and wait it out because I don't think either of these teams are going to make any headlines this week.
No, nobody's going to say anything, and why should they? But when you get, like you said, on paper, one of these teams averaging over 250 yards rushing in the playoffs or close to 250 yards with Saquon Barkley, who's been an absolute star. They have the confidence of knowing that they played with these guys 2 years ago. There was a controversial call at the end of the game. And then on the other side, Kansas City and that defense, they're winning with defense. And I've said that on this show a few times. Like Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey, that's great. Maybe the greatest pass-catching tandem in Super Bowl / playoff history. But their defense is going to be the key in this game. Can they slow down that Philadelphia running game, not let them chew up clock and limit the possessions in the game?
Well, let's also talk about Jalen Carter. Because I am anxious to see, there's two things I want to see in this game. One, how the Chiefs deal with the rushing game, and Saquon Barkley and everything Philadelphia can do on that side. Do they just stuff the box and say we're going to force Jalen Hurts to beat us in this game because we don't think he can, and all the different looks that Steve Spagnuolo can throw his way to try and confuse him. And then the other I want to see is, can they keep this Eagles pass rush off of Patrick Mahomes and give him enough time to make some plays?
Right. And we'll see. And I think those are the key matchups to watch. Does A.J. Brown have a big game? He's been quiet in some spots, had big games in others. I think he will. Who does Patrick Mahomes make it work with besides Kelsey? Is Xavier Worthy the hero of this game in some ways? Does he attack those Eagles corners? How do they run the football? Do they run the football? Pacheco had a really good Super Bowl when they played 2 years ago. So, yeah, I'm fascinated by the matchup itself, and I think the entertainment value will be high. And then, of course, if we get into the fourth quarter and it's a one-score game, which I think is going to be the case, does Patrick Mahomes do it again?
I think they
add to this aura that he has.
Yeah, I think they have to run the football. I think they have to, because they've got to keep that pass rush honest and at least try and keep them at bay a little bit. I think they have to run the football.
Yeah, and this Eagles defense is very good up front and in the interior. So if they don't have any luck there, it's a New Orleans Super Bowl too. So you always are going to hear about what are the distractions this week in New Orleans. I remember that from Green Bay in Super Bowl 31. They were worried about that, but all in all, I do think it'll be a one-score fantastic game. I told you guys last week I picked the Chiefs, even though I should pick the Eagles because logic dictates you should pick Philadelphia, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Before I get to Chip Kelly real quick, do you think the Jalen Carter story becomes more of a story this week and everything that's sort of, with what led to him getting to the NFL and, leaving his teammate, people will say leaving his teammate on the side of the road to die. I mean, do you think that actually comes up in the course of this week?
At some point, but I don't think it will be harped on. I mean, if that would have happened in the last 365 days, maybe. Time obviously doesn't heal everything, but I mean, it's a delicate situation, but I do think that maybe not as much. And I do agree with you that I don't think there will be a lot of bulletin board material this week. And that when that happens, then it's going to be a good game. Yeah. Because both of these teams know that the other one's good and they respect each other. And this is a big chance for Nick Sirianni. I got a story coming out about him this week and his time as a Mount Union wide receiver in Division III. Spoiler alert, he was a pretty good one.
Bill Bender, Sporting News, by the way, if you want to check out his work. I don't know if I mentioned. Bill's with the Sporting News. Bill, last one before I let you go. Chip Kelly on his way to the Raiders to take over as offensive coordinator there. Are you surprised he decided to part ways with Ohio State and for all the jobs in the world, the Raiders, who have nothing going for them offensively?
Well, I think he'll get some free reign with Pete Carroll. What an interesting combination of coaches that is for somebody like me that's covered the college game as long as I have. I think it's going to be fun to watch. As for Ohio State, I was cautioning people that this isn't a coaching exodus. Nick Saban had 7 different offensive coordinators at Alabama. When you win big, your coaches get more opportunities. And in this case, I think Chip, just the pool of the NFL had always been there. I think he wants a second chance at it. He has a national championship ring now, albeit as a coordinator, and now he has a chance to go to the NFL. It'd be very interesting now to see who they pick, if they pick a quarterback, and if that's the direction they go and where this franchise goes from there.
Does it almost have to be a quarterback if you go and get a Chip Kelly? Doesn't it almost have to be a quarterback?
Feels that way. And whatever way they go, Chip did a fantastic job at Ohio State with the talent he had. I mean, he's turned Will Howard into a possible high day 2 quarterback. He helped do that this year. I really do believe that.
You think that, really?
I don't know if I didn't say it was a good idea. I just said I think that's what's going to happen. So you got to give Chip Kelly credit for that. And I think it'd be interesting to see how Pete Carroll and him do. I mean, I'm certainly more intrigued by the Raiders than I was last year.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I'll be a lot more intrigued if they go get one of those quarterbacks at the top of the draft as well. Bill Bender does a terrific job. The Sporting News, check out his piece this week on Nick Sirianni. Always appreciate it, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
We're coming back with more Sports Wrap. Don't you go anywhere. Something to consider coming up in about 10 minutes. Oh, Canada. Oh, we'll get into that. Vladimir Louisant is hanging out with us on this Monday edition of the show. He's going to be with us all week. Now, while the headline at the top reads, De'Aaron Fox heads to San Antonio to join Wemby, I'm going to do a little detour here just for a moment because I want to talk about something that Eric Pincus talked about earlier in the show, Vlad, and that was this idea that he believes, he does a hypotheticals thing for Bleacher Report, and he believes that the Warriors and Lakers should make a deal that sends LeBron to the Warriors. And I'm all about it. I'm like, let's go, man. I want to see LeBron and Steph Curry playing together. Look, the Lakers aren't going anywhere this year. The Warriors aren't going anywhere this year. Why not put the two together and just see what happens?
I hate that. Because
why?
Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you why I hate
Curry
that,
would score 50 a game.
Know that the Lakers are one game behind the fourth seed in the Western Conference. So as much as everybody's saying that they're not doing anything, out of all the teams, like the Mavs and the Warriors, the Lakers got the better record, and they won 8 out of 10. So if, as much as we think, oh, this move is for the future, maybe the reason why they didn't give up that second first-round pick is because they're about to make another move. And then if they make another move, then the narrative is going to change. You'll be like, oh, wow, the Lakers made moves.
I said this to Eric Pincus, and I'll say it to you. And I do think there's another shoe to drop here if indeed LeBron is staying, and he is committed, as he has said, to staying there past the trade deadline. I do think there's another move. I don't know what that is. Eric Pincus doesn't think it's a move that makes them a title contender. And I would tend to agree, because if I asked you right now, if I gave you Jason Page's money, I gave you Jason Page's money right now and said go to the window, you're not putting money on the Lakers. You're not putting money on the Lakers.
Right now, on February 3rd, no.
Right.
But after February 6th, if you tell me that they made a move, if they get a big man, because I think right now that's what we're all thinking about. Like, if they get an athletic big man, then, wow, the Lakers are, maybe they might be a title contender. But right now, they're one of the top 5 teams, only one game behind Denver in the 4th seed. Who knows what happens with Luka? Who knows we get a rejuvenated Luka? I'm not saying that anything's not possible, but I'm looking at the Warriors, and as much as I like that dream last season, I don't like it this year. I don't see the Warriors doing anything. I don't see that the Warriors have anything that the Lakers would want for a trade like that. Because you're giving up Jonathan Kuminga, that's not good for the Warriors.
I'll tell you what's hilarious. You know who has the 6th best odds right now to win an NBA title? The Los Angeles Lakers. Like, that's insane. It just goes to show you how far the drop-off is. But it goes to show you, because it's Celtics at 210.
It's still named.
But it's the Celtics at 210. It's the Thunder at 230. Then the Cavaliers, who have been world beaters this year, at 750. And then the drop-off moved up. And then the drop-off goes Knicks at 13, Nuggets at 14, and Lakers at 19.
Here's what happened. The Knicks were 3rd after Saturday. Then they lost to the Lakers, and then that trade happened. Here's what's going to happen. Vegas, the smartest men in the world, when you still have LeBron James, who's still playing like a top 10 player at 40 years old, and then you have a 25-year-old Luka Dončić, you're going to think that these two together, with their history, their accolades, their success, and the team, the Los Angeles Lakers, they're going to make a run in the playoffs. I know we want Steph and LeBron together because we saw the Olympics and we heard about the trade that could have happened last year. But if they do go together, what? You still think they could beat OKC in a 7-game series?
I don't know if anybody's beating OKC in a 7-game series.
You think they could beat Denver in a 7-game series?
Oh, God, they don't want to see Denver in the playoffs at all. I have more to get to on this. We only have a couple minutes. We didn't even get into De'Aaron Fox. Poor De'Aaron Fox is yesterday's news already. We'll get to that coming up in a moment. But first, a word from our friends at Credit Associates. How about Rory McIlroy this weekend? We'll get to him in odds and ends. But Rory wins at Pebble Beach. Dominating performance. Goes away on Sunday. Wins at Pebble Beach. Maybe it's the year of Rory. We'll have to wait and see. Let's talk about your credit card debt, though. Has that been blocking your financial freedom? The way Rory was blocking people from trying to win at Pebble Beach? Well, it's time to break through. Credit Associates can help you get a hole-in-one with your debt. for up to half of what you owe. They can slam down that debt. That's the kind of move you want to see in your financial game. Don't wait for another hole. Call 1-800-747-5362 today and see how much you could save. Credit Associates, when it's time to make a play, they got your back. To see if you qualify for debt relief, call 1-800-747-5362 or just visit creditassociates.com. So De'Aaron Fox, we got a minute left on De'Aaron Fox. I love the move for San Antonio. I think long-term it is nothing but great news for that franchise.
Absolutely. Hopefully Pop gets healthier, and then when he comes back, you have a team with De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama that's going to be unbelievable for the next 10 years. Run that pick and roll game, and he's also learning under the tutelage of Chris Paul. So you get Chris Paul for half a season to be able to teach these two men how to play this game. It's going to be a really, really good union down in San Antonio.
Yeah, and it's funny, I haven't heard as much about Chris Paul down there this year. I haven't heard as much about his influence and sort of.
Well, they're playing better, Jason.
Sure.
They're playing better than they are. They're a team that can contend for the play-in, and with De'Aaron Fox now in a situation where he wants to be, watch out for San Antonio.
Yeah,
watch out for them.
San Antonio right now, one game on the loss side behind the Kings for that 10th spot. Zach LaVine on the move as well. All right, we got plenty more to do on the show. Something to consider is next. All right, Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. Lot to get to in Odds and Ends today. We'll try and squeeze it all in. It's Super Bowl week. Sammy Arnell is on assignment this week at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. So we have this guy, Vladimir Lewis, on, hanging out on the show. That look. What is that? What's that look? We have this guy.
No, we got this guy. I'm this guy.
It's like in baseball when a player goes on maternity leave and they call up somebody.
Oh yeah, the bereavement or maternity leave.
Maternity leave. We got male players going on maternity leave. It's great. All right, Vladimir Lewis on. Something to consider when political problems become sports problems. I could see my distributor. Alex pulling his hair out right now as I'm about to talk about this topic as he yells, "Don't talk about politics!" Listen, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the two intersect. If you didn't know, there's tariffs coming for Mexico, Canada, and China, right? Why does this matter in the overall scheme of sports? Well, ask the young lady singing the national anthem, the American national anthem, at the Raptors game this weekend. Take a listen and watch. Vladimir Lewis on. Canadians booing the national anthem. And look, this is fallout, and it is where sports and politics intersect. You have angry fans north of the border. You have national pride on their end. And this is something that's going to continue, whether people like it or not. Folks in Canada are pissed off about these tariffs, and they made it known during this national anthem. It also happened during one of the Canadian team's hockey games over the weekend as well. So this isn't a problem that's going away, and it's something that will cause tension between U.S. sports fans and Canadian sports fans. And I say this as somebody, we're on in half of Canada. We love you guys over on Game Plus that air the show. We're on in large swaths of Canada. Let me just say, don't come after me. Don't cancel me. Don't shut off my show. I love Canada. I have no issue with Canada. Donald Trump's beef with Canada is not my beef with Canada. So I just want to make that known to our friends north of the border. We love you, eh? And, we hope you are loving this show and continue to support us, despite the fact that we do the show every day in the United States.
Hey, man, I love my snowbirds, man. I love all my mother Canuckers. And, it's we got no beef with y'all.
Got no beef
with you.
His beef is not our beef. We love you.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm just saying.
We love Pete, we love Tim Hortons and all of that.
Tim Hortons.
We love it.
I'm planning a trip to Toronto later this year, actually. My first trip to Toronto. Yeah. I've been to Vancouver. I have not been to Toronto. I'm looking forward to getting to Toronto for the first time.
It's a great place. One of the best cities in the world.
Absolutely.
Top 10.
I agree. Amazing diversity there. We love you, our friends in Toronto. All right. Sam Yarnell, something to consider. Jimmy Butler says he won't go and play for the Golden State Warriors. We talked about the Warriors potentially. Maybe there's a trade for LeBron that could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Jimmy Butler said, don't bother Golden State because I'm not re-signing with you.
Yeah, Jimmy wants to go to one place, man. I told you this. Being down here in Miami, he just wants to go to Phoenix. For some reason, him and the Phoenix people, they have a great relationship, and he just wants to go there. It's just weird because he went from, I want to go to any team except for Miami, to now, don't want to go to Memphis, don't want to go to Golden State. So where do you want to go? So it's either Dallas or Phoenix? Who knows?
Wouldn't it be funny if you see Luka get traded to the Lakers, Anthony Davis goes to Dallas, De'Aaron Fox goes to San Antonio, Zach LaVine winds up back in Sacramento? Wouldn't it be hilarious if the one guy that doesn't get moved before this deadline is Jimmy Butler?
And that's going to be the funniest thing ever. Because
it could happen.
It could. It's dragged too long, Jason. This is dragged too long, especially with the Heat, who has this great reputation of being one of the most one of the smartest and forward-thinking organizations. So they should have known that this was going to happen. But there's a great possibility that Jimmy Butler, we already seen Jimmy Butler play his last game in the Miami uniform. There's a great chance we might have seen Jimmy Butler play his last game in 2024-2025 season.
Wow. Wouldn't that be something? If
no,
Jimmy Butler,
because when you mention that now, if he's being this petty to saying the team that he wants and Miami doesn't want to give him what he wants, that they're going to reach it. They're in an impasse right now.
Let me ask you and take advantage of you being in Miami. You got to be good for something after all. So let me ask you, what
this is what years of friendship.
What side are fans taking? Are they team Jimmy? Or are they team?
They're on Riley. They're all on Riley.
Really?
In the beginning, Paige. In the beginning, they were 50-50 because there's been a underlying narrative that they call Pat a little washed. They call him Sleepy Pat, almost like Sleepy Joe, if we want to bring the political reference back. They just thought that he's just been asleep at the wheel. And it wasn't that. Riley is a guy that waits and waits for the great moment to land a big free agent or make a splash, and that hasn't happened. So they want to keep Jimmy, because remember, Jimmy gave them relevance after the Big Three era. They were kind of mediocre, barely making the playoffs. But Jimmy came in, Jimmy gave them relevancy, and then that happened. And then now this is where we're at right now.
All right, we got to go. Odds and ends are next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. A reminder, if you have not done so already, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, you name it. Odyssey, Amazon, we're on all of them. Complete coverage from the Super Bowl. Excuse me. Hopefully Nick Ferguson on the show tomorrow, our former NFL safety and friend of the program. Edge Boost founder Senny Thomas going to help you get your gamble on for the Super Bowl. We'll talk about the Edge Boost debit card with him because it is changing the way people are able to bet on sports. So we'll have that on tomorrow's show as well. But without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends presented by our friends at Edge Boost. I'm all about trying to find ways to take sports betting to the next level, and that's why I was thrilled to learn about Edge Boost. Let me tell you about it. It's the financial platform that pays you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account paying you for every deposit. I just got my cash back. You should be getting yours. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. Free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're doing already. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it'll never be declined for gambling activity. Those days of going into a sportsbook, trying to use a card and it doesn't work, it's done. Edge Boost, the debit card, will help you do it. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more. Sign up today. Use my promo code WRAP when you sign up, and it only takes a couple of minutes to sign up. edgeboost.bet, or just scan the QR code below. All right, odds and ends. Vladimir Lewisant, Rory McIlroy back in the winner's circle after a win at Pebble Beach. Storied Pebble Beach this weekend. Maybe it's the year of Rory.
No, I think we say that every year. We're still looking for the next big star after Tiger, like big superstar. Not to say that they're not golf stars, but like that guy. And Rory's always been the one that everybody's looked at to be the guy to replace that Tiger wave, and done a good job, but he hasn't won the big one. And we all hope that he does. All golf fans hope that he does. Can he? We'll see. But this is a good way to start the year, and everybody's going to start picking him and making him the favorite for all the four majors.
2025 Masters right now. Scotty Scheffler, your favorite, just a little bit better than 4-1. Rory at 7-1, then Xander Schauffele at 13-1. By the way, Tiger Woods to win the Masters. Where is he?
1,000?
1,000.
5,000?
I can't even find him.
Whatever it is, I'll bet it.
Oh, here he is. He is 140-1. Plus 14,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Put down $100 to win $14,000 on Tiger Woods to win the Masters.
If there's only two courses, you'll still give him a chance to play it and have a shot.
Yep.
St. Andrews and Augusta. That's it.
God, you can bet on TGL. Like, that is the saddest thing. If you're betting on
I'm not betting on that.
if you're betting on TGL, I got a phone number for you. That's
you're degenerate. Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a phone number for you.
Absolutely
Odds and ends, Angel Reese. Congratulations. You have made history as the first player to ever be thrown out of a unrivaled game. 2 straight technicals for Angel Reese. She got tossed. She said she was making a gesture towards a player. She went after the official. And then all HE double hockey sticks broke loose. And Angel Reese doing what Angel Reese does.
Love Angel. Trendsetter. She can do no wrong in my eyes. So, she can do no wrong.
All right. She can do no wrong.
But she is a trendsetter. Look at that. First run. It's got to be a first for everything.
Let's hope it's a trend that doesn't continue.
Yeah,
Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. Will the Browns acquiesce? You're trying to hold on. You're trying to figure out what acquiesce means. Will the Browns give him what he wants?
They better. I know what acquiesce. Don't be stupid now. Don't be slick. Listen, this guy.
Big word.
They better. Because look, what they doing a full rebuild right now. Why does he, the best player on the team, why does he have to go through this again? This is like the third rebuild that he's gonna be a part of.
They are perpetually rebuilding.
they are
perpetually rebuilding.
There's like Home Depot, Lowe's, and then the Cleveland Browns. Perpetually rebuilding that.
He is still a great player. And they can probably get a haul. You can get a haul for him.
You can get a haul for him. And they need picks right now.
Yeah. I love him. I think he's.
But what team would make the question is, what team would make the offer to the Browns? It's got to be a team with a chance to win. You know who I'm afraid would get him, depending on how the Super Bowl ends? Howie Roseman.
Yeah. That's a possibility.
That's a possibility. I could see.
I wonder if there's questions though. Boy, I'm gonna open up a Pandora's box here.
What's that?
But if the Eagles lose and Jalen Hurts doesn't play well, does he become the fall guy? Does he become the fall guy there?
That's 2 Super Bowls. Because
gotta go.
And we're gonna get into it later on this week.
Yeah.
Saquon's unbelievable season has kind of put if they fall, it falls on Jalen Hurts.
We gotta go. We'll see you tomorrow.